Assalamu alaikum, dzień dobry, ciao, konnichiwa, bonjour, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you today? Hope you're well. This is Ken at 10. If you just joined us for the first time, then thank you for coming. And if you're regular coming back, then thank you for your loyalty. Nice to virtually meet you. We haven't met before. This is Ken at 10. I'm Ken, and it's 10, and that's why. We are estate agents based in Southwest London, SW16 to be precise, between Streatham and Croydon, a Zone 3 commuting area called Norbury. Great for investment, great for first-time buyers, and if you're commuting into the city, a great balance between safety, nice neighbourhood, and commuting distance into the city. So that's us. How are you today? I hope you're well. Here in Norbury, the weather is beautiful. It's a lovely day. Very chilly this morning as we got out the car, but bright and sunny. So I suspect we're going to have a nice one. I feel like it's just going to get warmer now, which is nice, isn't it? With the pandemic slowly fading as well, and now with the announcement of the Chancellor, the whole thing's feeling good for the property market now. Feeling very strong indeed. A few headlines for you. One that comes out in the Times, Express, the Telegraph, basically every paper you can think of, including the Guardian and the Independent. House prices to rise by 4%. This is an article by Savills. They predict that as the property market is buoyed by government support and the rollout of the COVID vaccination, forecast being published today, the firm says that the average price of a home, which was $230 at the end of last year, will grow more than previously expected. After 5 successive years of growth, the price of the average home will hit $279,644 by the end of 2025. That's a gain of 21.1%, Savills estimates. Elsewhere, Capital Economics said the threat of a dip in house prices has been diminished and revised their original prediction of a 4% drop to a 3% rise. How quickly things can turn. Lucian Cook, head of research at Savills, said 2021 looked to be a complex and uneven year for the housing market, but the outlook has improved since the beginning of the year, given the speed of the vaccination program, the expected relaxation of social distancing measures, and government support for both jobs and the housing market. He said the biggest house price rises in the next 5 years are forecast to be in the northwest of England, where prices could rise by 28.8%, and in Yorkshire and Humberside, where they predict a 28.2% rise. London prices are predicted to grow by 12.6%, taking the average in London now to £547,868. Huge, isn't it? Just unbelievable. It's over £500,000 for the average, that will be. And we were talking about that with Hema in our broadcast post-budget last week in the podcast, and saying that it's amazing how, when you look at the country, you can see why the Chancellor's tried to do this soft landing by tapering the stamp duty relief. And the idea is that the 15,000 saving that you would have made is tapered down if you don't make the June deadline by the fact that they've doubled the relief from 125 to 250,000. But of course, in London, where we have prices that are $500,000-ish, it really doesn't touch the size. The difference between 15,000 saving and 2,000, it really doesn't. I get why he did it though. For the rest of the country, it's a significant saving, and it's enough to make the difference, to keep those transactions going. Totally. The FT comments that the housing market throughout the pandemic is not too big to fall, and the Chancellor should show caution. I was a bit late for that, wasn't it? He's done what he's done. But I think in the end, I understand their point. None of us want flyaway prices. That's not good for the market. What we want is stability and steady growth. And if people would see their investment growing, that's feel-good factors, really good. It's good for the market. It's good for people to feel the wealth is growing. It's funny, first-time buyers always want house prices to fall till they jump into the market. Then, like the rest of us, they want to see it jump as quickly as possible. It's human nature, What can we do? Another article here about the new 95% rates. This is something we've been talking about for a while. We're very interested to see what the rates will be on these new 95% schemes, and we must get our mortgage broker Emily back on the show to talk about that. The experts are saying that with just a 5% deposit, the rates will be premium. They will be higher. Well, one would expect you pay a little bit higher rates because of the risk, but I was hoping that would be negated by the fact that the government are taking up the slack on that risk. If they're taking up the top 20% of that risk, let's say from 75 to 95%, which seems to be the sort of thing we're looking at, then surely the lender's no more at risk than if it were a borrower borrowing 75%. So therefore, you sort of think it's unreasonable of them to then load the premium for first-time buyers. They will argue, of course, that the credit worthiness of a young first-time buyer is perhaps not that of an older person with a longer track record, but I think that's kind of missing the point. The point is we're trying to help young people get on the ladder here. And it doesn't seem fair to me if they're paying above normal market rates, which might preclude them from actually jumping on anyway when they compare it with rents. So really interested to see how that pans out. Martin Stewart of advice firm London Money said that they could be 3.5 to 4% for a 5-year fixed deal. That's not too bad. It's higher than the rest of the market, but it's not too bad. Martin Stewart of advice firm London Money said they could be even higher. The average quoted mortgage rate for 95% was 4.07 in 2021. But when you think that 75% mortgages are at 1.75%, it does seem a bit skewed, doesn't it? Lawrence Bowles of Savills said that while the guarantee of the government's backing offers a certain element of security, it was the scheme's laser focus on the riskier part of the market, those with smaller deposits, which could reflect in lenders' higher pricing. Well, yes, but we would hope that the spirit and the essence of this is to help young people get on board. And therefore, given the lenders aren't taking that bigger risk, that they would actually pass those savings on because they're not taking that risk. But we'll see. We'll see. No doubt there will be huge take up. Now, I'm just not sure whether there'll be actually enough supply of these mortgages, but really looking forward to seeing how that pans out. Of course, they're not released until April, so we'll find out more as time goes on. City, this is on the commercial side, something else I picked up today, which I thought was interesting. The City of London has already given the go-ahead for more than 2 million square feet of new office space in 2021, pointing to a square mile building boom. Despite the impact of COVID-19, many large financial companies have signalled a move towards flexible working, with several big names planning to move to smaller premises. However, in the first 2 months of 2021, the City of London's Corporate Planning Committee had approved creation of nearly 80% of the 2.6 million square feet of office space that it approved last year. The corporation has given approvals to two Hong Kong-based developer, Tenacity, since the start of the year, and one to a major joint venture by British Land. Well, that's interesting because what it says to me is that there's going to be jobs created by those office spaces, one would hope, and therefore, London will spring back. And I think it's good for the health of London when the office space demand is up. And I've said for a long time, people are saying, oh, London is dead, it's never coming back. It's coming back. It's the most fantastic city in the world. And as soon as this pandemic is behind us, I think you'll see London start to loosen up. And maybe it will be a bit younger, and maybe it will be a bit different. Everything will be a bit different. Nothing stays the same, does it? Especially now. Home working will continue, but London will still be the greatest city in the world, in my view. There we are. Rant over on that. Apart from that, new guidance on fire safety for flat owners stuck in limbo. The RICS, that's the Surveyors, Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, has issued new guidance aimed at reducing the number of wall safety surveys being requested by banks and building societies. This could be good news if you're trapped in your flat at the moment. Thousands of flat owners have been unable to sell or remortgage because they cannot get the checks done. The RICS said it would help lenders save time when the inspections were not needed, adding that its new guidance would clarify types of properties that will and will not require additional inspections to speed up mortgage approvals. This has been a big problem. This is where surveyors themselves are not really clear on what's covered by the EWS, what they should be inspecting for fire safety and what they shouldn't. There was talk about certain size of blocks over 18 metres. There was also talk about 4 stories or more, but hopefully there's more clarification now, which will lead to a lot of blocks that were perhaps previously thought to be caught by the legislation to be released, if you will, and those mortgage prisoners and the people that are stuck in those properties that can't move on can actually move. So let's hope that results in something good for them. This is an interesting one as well. I thought this was good. A little bit of good news from the Bank of England. Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey has predicted that the coronavirus pandemic's economic effect will not be as severe as seen under previous recessions, stating that government spending has been a necessary and sensible response. He noted, it means that the economic impact of COVID will be spread over time. How long we do not know because it's too early to predict, but the cost has to be managed and it will be easy to do that with a higher trend of growth, boosted by stronger investment. The bank's outlook was cautious, he added, noting that a planned further 150 billion of quantitative easing was expected to be completed by around the end of 2021. Well, that's nice, isn't it, to hear the Bank of England voicing some confidence in the underlying economy and our ability to bounce back from that. It does feel good, though, doesn't it? We're all getting our jabs, coming out of this horrible thing, and things are getting a little bit back to normal. By the way, that's why the cars are behind us. Have you noticed? if you commute to work, I'm sure you have. It's a nightmare. It's a bloodbath out there. You just can't drive anywhere. The schools are back, and they're out in force, and it's a little bit crazy, mayhem, literally mayhem out there. It always seems strange to me that whenever the children go back to school, there's more and more cars every single time, aren't there? And this is just like a growing thing. And you do wonder, how long before we're at gridlock. I mean, here even in Southwest London, it's crazy the amount of vehicles around. And will we get to a stage where the car's no longer the king? I'm not so sure. Time will tell. I'll leave you with that thought. But thanks for watching today. We'll be back tomorrow with another Ken at 10. I've just got to go and speak to Homes Under the Hammer about our shoot tomorrow. We're in Collier's Wood tomorrow doing a shoot for them and talking about a property there. There's another one coming up in Streatham for them too. So looking forward to those two. Hope you have a fantastic day. Look after yourselves and your families. We'll be back same time tomorrow with another Ken at 10. Stay safe.